A chilling declaration from Budanov, the chief of Ukraine's main intelligence directorate, has sent shockwaves across the globe, fundamentally reframing the narrative of the war and signaling a potential endgame far more catastrophic than previously imagined. In a stark and unusually candid interview, Budanov warned that the continued existence of Ukraine as a sovereign nation is now under direct and imminent threat. This pronouncement, coming from a figure known for his psychological operations and normally confident public posture, was devoid of its usual bravado. Instead, it was a grim assessment rooted in a confluence of desperate realities that have converged to push Ukraine to the brink of collapse. He articulated that this existential threat is not the result of a single factor, but a perfect storm of relentless Russian military pressure, crippling ammunition shortage, significant manpower challenges, and a tangible erosions of the political will and material support from Western partners. The intelligence chief's words were not a simple plea for more weapons. They were a sounding of the alarm that the foundational pillars supporting Ukraine's war efforts are beginning to crumble simultaneously, threatening to bring the entire structure down. The primary reason for Budanov's dire warning lies in the brutal arithmetic of the battlefield. After more than 3 years of high-intensity conventional warfare, the Ukrainian military is facing a critical and potentially fatal shell hunger. The disparity in artillery firepower has become a chasm. Ukrainian units along the sprawling front line report being able to fire only 1 or 2 shells for every 10 fired by the Russian army. This immense disadvantage means Ukrainian forces cannot effectively conduct counter-battery fire to destroy Russian artillery, nor can they adequately suppress Russian infantry assault. They are forced into a purely defensive crouch, absorbing punishing round-the-clock bombardment that systematically destroy their fortified positions, erode morale, and inflict a steady stream of casualties. This reality is felt most acutely in the Donbas, where Russian forces are making slow grinding but undeniable progress, chewing up territory and trading lives for meters in a brutal war of attrition that Russia, with its larger population and economy on a full war footing, is better equipped to sustain. Compounding the artillery crisis is Russia's increasingly effective and widespread use of powerful guided aerial bombs, particularly the FAB series. These massive Soviet-era bombs have been retrofitted with simple but deadly guidance and wing kits, transforming them into standoff glide weapons. Russian Su-34 and Su-35 fighter jets can release these bombs from distance of 50 to 70 kilometers, well beyond the reach of Ukraine's depleted and overstretched medium-range air defense systems. Each FAB bomb, weighing from 500 to as much as 3,000 kilograms, delivers a cataclysmic explosion capable of obliterating the deeply entrenched concrete bunkers and command posts that Ukrainian soldiers rely on for survival. This single technological adaptation has allowed Russia to systematically dismantle Ukraine's most formidable defense from the air, paving the way for its ground troops. Budanov acknowledged that his country has no effective counter to this threat at scale, and the relentless FAB strikes are not only causing immense destruction, but are also having a devastating psychological impact on the defenders, who feel they have no safe place to hide. Beyond the hardware shortage, Budanov pointed to the immense strain on Ukraine's human resource. The nation is facing a severe manpower crisis. The initial wave of highly motivated volunteers who flocked to defend the country in the war early stage has been exhausted. Attrited by years of brutal combat, Ukraine is now struggling to mobilize the necessary numbers of new recruits to replace its losses and rotates its battle-weary brigades off the front lines. The soldiers who have been fighting for years are physically and mentally drained. This exhaustion degrades combat effectiveness and makes it difficult to mount large-scale offensive operation. Meanwhile, Russia continues to leverage its significant population advantage, drawing on a larger pool of manpower to sustain its offensive operations and absorb staggering casualties that would be politically unsustainable in most Western nations. This demographic imbalance is a grim long-term strategic reality that weighs heavily on Kyiv's military planning and contributes significantly to Budanov's bleak outlook. The crisis on the battlefield is directly exacerbated by a crisis in Western support. The flow of military aid, once a torrent that enabled Ukraine to achieve stunning victories, has slowed to a trickle. The new administration in Washington has initiated a comprehensive review of its Ukraine policy, creating uncertainty and delays. While support has not been cut off entirely, the pace and scale of deliveries have diminished. Politically, debates in Western capitals, coupled with a very real depletion of their own military stockpiles, have created a bottleneck. The ammunition that Ukraine needs in the millions arrive in the thousands, often just enough to prevent an immediate collapse, but not nearly enough to reclaim the strategic initiative. Budanov noted that this hesitancy sends a powerful signal to Moscow that the West's resolve is wavering, which in turn emboldens the Kremlin to press its advantage, convinced that time is on its side. The intelligence chief's statement was a clear attempt to choke Western leaders out of their complacency, forcing them to recognize that their incremental and cautious approach is leading directly to the outcome they claim to want to prevent, a Russian victory. Furthermore, Ukraine's economic survival is hanging by a thread. The nation's economy has been shattered by the war. Its industrial base is damaged, its export routes are disrupted, and millions of its citizens are displaced. The Ukrainian government is now almost entirely dependent on financial aid from the United States, the European Union, and the International Monetary Fund simply to perform basic state functions such as paying pensions and the salaries of doctors and teachers. This financial lifeline is as critical as the military one. Any significant delays or reduction in this financial support will risk the collapse of the Ukrainian state from within. Even before a military defeat, the looming possibility of Ukraine fatigue among Western taxpayers and politicians is therefore not just a political problem for Kyiv, but an existential threat to the functioning of the country. Budanov's warning encompasses economic fragility, recognizing that a state that cannot pay its bill cannot fund its army or maintain social cohesion. It is this combination of a desperate military situation, a faltering stream of international aid, and profound internal fragility that led Kyrylo Budanov to make his terrifyingly blunt assessment. His message was a warning that the courage and resilience of the Ukrainian people, which have inspired the world, cannot overcome the fundamental law of military and economic gravity forever. Without a massive and immediate surge of decisive support, the map of Europe could be violently and tragically redrawn. Many of my listeners, like 70%, have subscribed to my YouTube channel, and so many of you don't even know that you haven't subscribed, and that is actually what makes the show going. It's almost like you're making a donation to the show. So that's why I ask again and again, because it enables us to grow and grow and grow. And we're going for the long haul here. And listen, if this is your first time listening to World Global Conflict, you don't have to subscribe. You guys, your first one's on me. But if you have watched this show before, it's like you are freeloader now. So all I would ask you is, if you have seen this show before and you like it, help me, help my team here. Hit that subscribe and like button now, and we will continue to build this show for you. That I swear. Thank you to all of you guys who have subscribed. It means a lot to me. Thank you so much. That's all for me for today. I will see you soon. Bye for now.